What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland, joined as always by Lauren Khalil. Lauren, how are you?
I am good, besides all of the snow outside of my window.
Wouldn't know about that. It was 65 degrees here today. That was nice.
Oof.
And featuring, as always, local TV celebrity now here in
Yes.
the greater Bay Area, Tommy Marquez. Tommy, how you doing?
Yeah. If you want to know my thoughts about PG&E's new transformer they're putting in and the power outages that are going on, I'm your guy.
Yeah. You were on Channel 8 out of Monterey. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I think they're like all Central Coast.
Yeah.
I got texts from friends, including Joe Novello in Santa Cruz, saying that they saw my ugly mug on the on the local news.
Please,
Congratulations on your big debut, Tommy.
please
Yep.
tell me they didn't make you hold the lavalier. Like
No,
they
they didn't.
Oh,
pinned
No,
it
they
on you.
did. No, that she had a stick mic.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
All right. That's
Yeah.
one of my word. I hate that when I see that now in local news where they hand people the lavalier and they don't even that's so
they don't
late.
even clip it? That is lazy.
I saw that out of a piece out of San Francisco of all places.
Oh
Like,
my
Wow.
God, fired.
yeah, just awful.
It was my big moment. Screw, being on CBS or ESPN or any of that,
You've made it. You've made it.
This
Listen,
was it.
our text group had fun with that lower third for
Oh gosh,
Photoshop.
it was fantastic.
Just good to know creative people who can turn that around pretty quickly.
Yep.
Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to get into the latest developments with the CrossFit Games season, a lot of the stuff that's going on with the World Fitness Project, and some things that are going to be going on next week, as I think is the official sort of kickoff of the 2025 season as we get into Wadapalooza. But first, we want to thank our sponsor for today, and that is Vuori, a new perspective on performance apparel. If you are sick and tired of just the same old stuff that you're wearing to the gym, Vuori is the most versatile clothing brand that I have ever worn in my life, and probably one of the most comfortable, if not the most comfortable as well. They have the Strato Tech wear that is fantastic. They have the Dream Knit that's fantastic. Their dress pants or aim pants are unbelievable. Their polos, like if you're someone who needs to dress business casual, they got that. If you're someone who just is looking for stuff to lounge around in, they got that. Get yourself a pair of the joggers. If you want, a comfortable hoodie to lounge around in, they've got those. You name it, they have it. It's comfortable. You're never going to want to take it off. You can go to vuoriclothing.com/TEF or Vuori/TEF. 20% will automatically be added to your order and you will start a brand new addiction. I mean, I'm just going to warn you. Like, you're going to buy this stuff until you
need it all.
You're sitting there being like, you know what? My kids don't need new shoes this month. Give me the shorts. That's basically what it's going to be. You've been warned. All right.
Your next irresponsible addiction.
It's going to happen.
Honestly, this Strato Tech hoodie that I'm wearing right now for golf, it's tough. Where we are in California, I know this is, champagne problems. We're kind of in between, not quite full hoodie all the time and not quite short sleeve. That's what our winter is. You need something just to take the edge off.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Like those white wine spritzers your great aunt drinks at Christmas. That's what this thing is. You can put it on when you hit the early tea time or the late tea time, and it's just enough to take the wind chill off, and it's fantastic. It is one of the best like golf pieces that I've ever had. I absolutely love it.
They're fantastic. Vuori.com/TEF. You're going to save 20%. And we are certainly glad to have them on board. Okay, we got to get some not so fun things out of the way first here. First of all, we just want to let everybody know who is down there in Southern California in the Los Angeles area dealing with the fires right now that we're thinking about you. We hope you're staying safe. It is absolutely devastating to see what is going on down there and how quickly it has spread and the damage that those fires are doing. I have a special place in my heart for Los Angeles. I was born down there. I still have friends and family who live down there. Been checking in with them all day. The majority of them are fine, haven't had to evacuate. They're certainly keeping a close eye on things. But if you know someone down there, please reach out to them. If there's something that you can do to help, please do. And just hope everybody stays safe, and just know that we're thinking about you here and wishing you all the best. Second thing that we need to do is, I believe it was last week, CrossFit lost really, I think, a man who truly, embodies what it means to be fit, be a great individual, and be a role model. And that's Will Powell. And for those of you who may not know about Will Powell, he's a 4-time Masters CrossFit Games champion, and he passed away after losing a battle with cancer. And he competed at the CrossFit Games 9 times, winning a title in the 50 to 54-year-old division, 2 titles in the 50 to 59-year-old division, and 1 more in the 60 to 64-year-old division. That's the first time a Masters athlete has won a title in 3 different age groups. He was diagnosed with cancer in 2017. Now, get this, despite that diagnosis, he continued to compete. After the 2017 games, he had a tumor removed from his left lung that he described as the size of a cantaloupe. The following year, he was back at the games and he took 3rd. In 2021, his tumor returned. He once again had surgery to remove that tumor, and he qualified for the games in 2022. And then in 2023, he had a 3rd surgery to remove tumors in his chest. Following months of chemotherapy, he would return to the competition floor one final time, competing in the Open in 2024. And we just, hearts go out to him and his family, his loved ones. And that's a guy, Tommy, you were talking about it, like, and I don't mean to be, flippant here, but he's a guy that if you were around and you saw him and you were just a normal everyday open athlete, you'd be like, I want to be Will Powell when I grow up. Like he was just an outstanding individual in every sense of the word.
Yeah, and that was something that we repeated all the time, behind the scenes. We got to cover Will's career from, the first time he broke onto the scene as a masters athlete in 2013 at the upper end, and from there on up, we got to watch him rip off 3 consecutive CrossFit Games titles. At the time of his cancer diagnosis, he was considered, if not the best to ever do it in the masters division, 1 or 2. He was 1 or 1A. And we always had the opportunity to run into him at events. And I left this comment on the CrossFit Games post as well. He would go out of his way to come over and thank all of the media members
Yeah.
for highlighting his exploits. And he's like, "Hey man, just want to like give you guys, And after the first year, it was always by name: Sean, Tommy, Rory, Pat. I always just want to say thanks for always covering the sport and highlighting what we're doing." And I'm like, dude, you don't need to thank us. We should be thanking you. You're doing these amazing things, putting together these amazing performances. And it's a privilege for us to cover your career.
Yeah.
And so thank you for that. But he was such a kind soul off of the floor. Never had a bad word to say about anybody. And all of those things that have been mentioned about him and his exploits are true, but I do want to note a couple of things just to kind of give some additional bullet points to his career. 9 Masters Games appearances, tied for 4th all time. He also qualified for the 2020 games, but that didn't actually happen, so there wasn't a 10th appearance. So he actually qualified 10 times, top 5 all time, 4th. He's got 4 championships. He won 3 straight. He's tied for 4th all time in terms of titles. He was the first to win, like you said, Sean, in 3 different age divisions. 5 Masters podiums. That's tied for 7th all time. And it was a lot higher at the time, but obviously as time goes on, people rack up longer careers. 67 Masters Games events, competed in 6th all time. 15 Masters Games event wins, tied for 3rd all time. And I believe he was either the first or second athlete to win 3 consecutive CrossFit Games titles in the Masters divisions. He's an absolute legend. He's one of the best to ever do it. And more importantly, from the 5 qualifications from 2017 on, including his 4th title and another podium, all happened after the cancer diagnosis. So while competing while having a tumor removed, a constant battle with cancer, having another tumor removed, he still managed to compete at the highest level of the sport and even win. I mean, just an absolute champion in all sense of the word. And it's a shame, a travesty that, someone like him could, go too soon to something like this. It's just like, I don't mince words and I don't say it lightly when I say fuck cancer. I mean, I'm not the first to say it and I won't be the last. And it's just, it's tough. I've chatted briefly
Mm.
with his wife, working on trying to get, you know, highlights and stuff like that. So it's something to remember him by. And I hope we're able to put that together. But man,
Cancer sucks, man. We
it
all know
really
someone
does.
who's been. I mean, I lost my father to it. Like we all know someone who's been affected
Yeah.
by it. So yeah, we
And
just wanted to make sure we
he's just,
did try to do Opal justice and just he will be missed.
we had the opportunity, during our time at CrossFit to cover all the divisions, right? It was a time when there was linear coverage across all divisions year round. And it was always a treat to be able to cover Will Powell because you're always like, what crazy cool thing is this guy going to do? Right.
Yeah.
Because he was the guy that, like you said, I distinctly remember one time, I think it was either the first year in Madison or the last year at Carson, him walking by and he had just taken his shirt off. And I was like, yeah,
I know, right?
like, like, how do I get like that? Like, I
Mhm.
want to be that when I grow up. Like, man, that gives me hope for the
Yeah,
future, that like you're not just gonna go quietly. Like, it's good for him.
yeah.
And
Well,
I'm gonna miss I'm gonna miss talking about him, and hopefully we continue to talk about him to keep his
yeah,
memory alive. And just it's another reminder to hug your loved ones for
yeah.
sure.
Idea, the Masters equivalent of the Spirit of the Games award would be
Oh,
the Will Powell.
Oh, I love that.
Just
Great
throwing
idea.
that is a great idea.
I don't think there's a Spirit of the Games award for age groups or masters, but there should be, and it should be named after
There
him.
we go, Bob and Joe.
All right. I'm gonna suggest that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's now move into the stuff that we want to talk about, and that is what is on the horizon here. And as I mentioned, next week I think is sort of the unofficial start of the 2025 season, even though it is not an official sort of CrossFit Games event. But Wadapalooza is coming. Lauren, you get to be there. I know you're
Woohoo!
excited about being down in Miami because look, that event in person is fantastic. Like, it's a great experience. Yeah, I remember the first time I went there, and I was like, and I told Tommy this. I remember telling you this. You've been underselling this. Like, this is fantastic.
It's one of those events too that strategically 12, 13, is this the 13th year? Around there,
Yeah,
around
Yeah,
there.
around there.
We'll
that
we'll
sounds
have to
right.
fact check that.
I want to say it's
Yeah, because I
24.
remember the 10-year because Noah Olson gave a speech because he had been there for all 10 years, and I feel like that was 2
It was
times
the
ago, and
year,
this
right? They had to
will
cancel
be the
because of
13th.
COVID.
But anyways, strategically placing it in January for us Northeasterners who are in the middle of 15-degree weather and 7 feet of snow, I couldn't think of a better place to be than Miami, Florida, and now at a new location at South Beach. I have never explored South Beach before,
We're
but
in for a
it
treat.
looks like a very similar vibe to what Wadapalooza did with SoCal, the way
Mm,
that it's on the beach and, maybe we can get our feet in the sand and, it's just good vibes and
Yeah,
everybody is there. It really is like the kickoff to the season,
yeah,
even though it's not part of the season.
yeah, I think it was needed too. I mean, I think the organizers would tell you too that they were looking for another way to kind of like innovate and give kind of the whole process a facelift, right? Like
mhm,
they've been at Bayfront Park for forever, and it just seems like, hey, let's do something to like throw a little spice into this.
yeah.
And being on South Beach, and they're going to be right
Mhm.
on like that it was the Ocean Boulevard right there on the like the key sections of South Beach. So if you want to be on the beach and right by the water, like this is your spot for
Yeah,
sure.
it's gonna be a fantastic event. But one of the big draws of Wadapalooza not only is just the quality of the competition and that three-person team format that's gonna have some fun teams to watch and the way they do it so that, you can compete in both now, are the peripheral events that go on. And the Association of Fitness Judges
Mhm.
is gonna have a pretty big event down there as they look to further professionalize and improve judging in the sport.
Yeah, for sure. The AFJ, uh, they're partnering with the PFAA to bring in. They're going to do a judging seminar that's going to be educational, obviously, to help train people. But they're also partnering with the PFAA to bring in games level athletes for breakout sessions during the seminar to do simulated judging sessions with high level athletes at
Mm,
speed. So their goal is to have it, flow like similar to an L1 or L2 seminar, but This is going to be like the real first of its kind. It's going to be going from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. that Wednesday, right before Wadapalooza. It's going to be at an affiliate. They're at capacity, but we want to spread the word anyways because they're hoping to do more of these. I think they're looking at maybe one a quarter, and maybe have it tied to certain events as well. But you're going to get standard operating procedures for all the high level events like Wadapalooza that you can expect to encounter as a judge, scorecard tutorials, video review from a judging perspective, as well as like how to set up your athletes ahead of time, to kind of prep them, athlete command and control during live events,
Mhm.
team considerations, because that's a whole different beast. There's going to be breakout sessions, like I mentioned, for the simulated judging with prior CrossFit Games level athletes. Because honestly, that's the biggest hurdle, right? Getting to see athletes at speed at a high level, instructor and peer direct feedback during those breakout sessions. So there that it's key that they have the relationship with the PFA to get those athletes, but also working with the events as well, because you want there's going to be like a sort of pass fail rating, because attendees will be evaluated during their
That's
performance
good.
as a judge at Wadapalooza. So it's cool. You go into the event and you actually get judged based on your performance at the event. So if you get a pass, you
That's
can
really
use the
cool.
AFJ certified judge for
Good.
future partnerships or events. Yeah. So and then once you've applied for membership for it, which it's a small fee to kind of help get things going. But yeah, I think it's great. I want to say the introductory price for the seminar is $79. So,
Oh,
which is
Yeah.
dirt cheap. And it's just a cool educational process. I mean, look, judging is a thankless job. They get a lot of criticism. I think a lot of it is unfair given where the sport is and how it operates, with a lot of them being volunteers. But here's an actual like, and sure, they're going to get some criticism to do their job well, but here are some people actually making an effort to improve things.
mhm.
It's like, oh, someone should step up and actually improve the process here.
Yeah.
They're trying. This is
Mhm.
this is an organization that's trying to train and create better judges and putting in a system. It may not be perfect. There's going to be some trial and error, I'm sure, but they're actually putting in some steps to hopefully like push the ball forward on that front, which is needed for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, looking forward to that. Looking forward to Wadapalooza, and we'll take a closer dive or deeper dive into that competition next week as we get ready for it. Another thing we wanted to talk about here is that news continues to trickle out from the World Fitness Project, and when you look at the athletes now that they have signed, they've got a good roster here.
Yeah.
And the latest, Paige Semenza and Luka Jukic, Danielle Brandon, Sam Quant, James Sprague, Ariel Lowen, Emily Rolfe, Guy Mayeros, Jay Crouch, Maddie Sturt, Bethany Flores, Ricky Garrard, Saxon Panchik, Emma Lawson, Sydney Wells, BKG, Jason Hopper, Amy Kringle, Madeline Anganese, Dallin Pepper, Emma Tall, Justin Medeiros, Victor Hoffer, Roman Krenikoff, Emma McQuaid, Travis Mayer, Alexis Raptis, Yella Hosta, Patrick Vellner, Brooke Wells, Alex Kazan, and Chandler Smith. I mean, look, you put all of them on the floor, I'll watch.
100%.
Not a
That's
doubt.
that's a great lineup, and they still have, but I think they still have 5 more women and 3 more men to announce. I could be wrong about that, but they're going to have 40 total
Yeah.
signed.
Yes, 20 men and 20 women.
But I know a big question out there is, oh, are they going to get Tia? Are they going to get Laura? Are they going to get, uh, Adler? And as far as like the Tia question goes, I think this is successful with or without her. I mean, obviously it would help, but I think what would makes it appealing without her is the parity. You have more parity without Tia. You inject Tia into the competition, it's like, all right, who's going for second? And you probably could say the same thing for Laura as well. It would be great to have them because they are a draw, but I still think that these competitions are appealing if they're not there.
They are
Yeah.
definitely a draw, but just looking at the roster, there's a lot of, yes, great athletes, but also star power behind these athletes that, I just think of Ariel Lowen and all of her witty content that she's been developing on Instagram and getting more of a following that way to help with the fanfare. And, Danielle Brandon and Emily Rolfe and
Mhm.
all of these athletes, I feel like now with the change in times of you have to kind of be present on social media, these athletes are really taking that by
Mhm.
storm. And I think that even helps with the spectators and going to the events like Fit Fest in SoCal, where you can interact with the fans, and that gets lifelong fans that help the sport. So I think having those storylines too, and the matchups that we'll be able to see with the athletes that have been listed so far is really exciting.
Yeah, if I get Hopper and Dallin, sign me up. Like
Right,
that's
exactly.
yeah,
And now
and
they're
it's
at the
great.
same training camp, which, you
Yeah.
know,
Mm.
that makes it even cooler.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the mix that they have here, right?
Mhm.
Like the first first word in that name is world, right? So you have 13 signees so far that are outside of North America, which is important to get that world flavor. You also have a collection of athletes, the Victor Hoffers of the world, the Yellow Hus, the Alex Gazan, the Amy Kringles, the Emma Lawsons, the athletes that are a couple of years into their games qualifications and still have some runway ahead of them, mixed in with the Vellners, the BKGs, the established vets, because it's the natural order of things. You want to make sure you have a mix of everything, so you have stars that can develop and continue to get high level competition against the best in the world outside of just the games. That's why events like Wadapalooza and Rogue became popular,
Mhm.
right? Because that experience is valuable, and for athletes that are looking to break through, or that are going to have to go through the qualification process. Now you can look at that roster. You're like, I'm guaranteed a shot at these athletes, right?
Yeah.
And who knows what, I mean, who else, who knows what the remaining announcements could be, but based on who they have so far, you're going to get a top tier level competition in terms of who you're going head to head with.
Well, and then don't forget the added story of athletes who are trying to work their way up to that level, and the
Mhm.
Challengers.
athletes who are already there trying to keep their spots. That's
Yep.
something fun that's gonna be fun to watch as the season progresses, and, a lot still needs to be announced, and if we gotta figure out where the events are gonna be and, what kinda coverage is gonna look like as far as live streaming and things like that, but so far, I think there's a reason to be optimistic about this.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to them taking their shot because they are doing a lot of things here that people have been asking for a while, like the earn your pro card, like live competition, that kind of thing. And if this goes well, 3 events is not a lot, but I think it's the right amount to start with. But if this goes well, it has the potential to grow. Now maybe it's 4 events, maybe we get to 5. Now you're talking about something.
Mhm.
And I think another thing is too is that, if this does work, it's it, does it force CrossFit to up their game at all, or is there a partnership to be had? And Travis Mayer made this point briefly. The clip I saw on the Training Think Tank podcast about and we've made the comparison as well between Live Golf and the PGA Tour, and about how that was a split at first because Live Golf said, "Hey, we got a much better way to do this. We got all this money, and we're going to have a 54-hole tournament. You can wear shorts, do whatever you want. We're going to make it more fun." And the PGA Tour kind of, "Oh, whatever." And then all of a sudden, they realized this thing had some legs, and now they have to partner up. And that was something that was never going to happen if you talk to the parties on both sides when that first came about.
Mhm.
Maybe this is something similar. Too early to tell, but I think there's reason to be cautiously optimistic about what we've seen so far.
For
I
sure.
think there's reason for success either way. So, one option is that maybe they only have 4 to 5 events, and until infinity and beyond, athletes can compete in the World Fitness Project and CrossFit. Well, great. That just still gives the athletes more exposure, more earning opportunities, more longevity with their career to compete in person. Okay, great. Everybody's happy. Or World Fitness Project tries to create more events. Athletes eventually have to choose, and it forces CrossFit's hand a bit, and maybe they do have to merge. And then that levels everybody up too. So I think regardless of the outcome, I would say there's going to be more benefit long term than oh, this is just gonna tank and this is gonna
Yeah.
set people back. I don't live in that camp of thinking.
Yeah. No, and I think, like, honestly, I think CrossFit is probably cheering for this to work, because if it does, and if it becomes the most popular thing, they can step away totally from the competition side of things. They can sort of endorse what World Fitness Project is doing, make that the de facto whatever CrossFit Games season, whatever you want to call it, and they can just go do their affiliation and they can reap all the benefits of the advertising that they're getting from this World Fitness Project season and not have to spend a dime. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Okay, well, let's turn our attention now to the CrossFit Games season itself. And one thing that was announced were the locations, or it's really just one location of what is being called the divisional games. And for those of you who are saying, well, what are the divisional games? That is the name they're using now for the age group games. So that's going to take place on August 21st to the 24th. It's going to be the Masters and the teenagers in Columbus, Ohio. And it's going to
I
be
love this.
I love it too. I think it's gonna be great. And it's gonna be at the Columbus Convention Center, which is where the Arnold Classic is. And if you've ever been there, it's a gigantic facility. It's in a great location. That downtown area is phenomenal. You walk out of that place, you hang a right, and you restaurants, shops, bars for
Mm, lots of good
like
food.
4 or 5 blocks. Great
Oh,
coffee
great
shop.
ice cream places
Oh,
too.
geez, ice cream.
Jenny's ice cream, yeah, when we
I can't
went.
wait. I'm counting the days,
Oh,
going there for the Arnold again. So I'm like getting that Jenny's. That's where my every night. I'm like, get an ice cream. Let's go. Come on. And it's like 25 degrees outside, and this is a
doesn't
small little
matter.
shop. There's a line out the door. That's how good this stuff
So
is.
good.
What is it? The Brambleberry? Is that what the good stuff?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
because
haven't had that.
man.
Kiki introduced us to Rambleberry,
Yeah,
and
Brambleberry.
then it was game over.
I haven't had that yet. I kind of
Oh,
my guns on stuff, but we're gonna get that ice cream. But they're gonna combine. Like you said, Lauren. I love this idea. Let's combine all the age groups. One giant event. Um, it's close to Rogue, so Rogue is responsible for the shipping costs on this, so they save money. But what's also
I
cool is
agree.
that their facility is now available for testing things. You have more access to more equipment, so you can do maybe some more fun stuff. But I like the fact that they're combining both of them, uh, because I really love the feel in Birmingham of that Masters event, the way it was set up. I think Bob Jennings and his crew did an awesome job, and they're going to be in charge of
Mhm.
this one again. And yeah, I think it's a big win for the age group athletes. So,
I do too, and even when you see I don't know percentage-wise how much crossover there is between, people that are family members competing in the Masters games
mhm.
and the pit teen games, but there were enough stories and there were enough families that it would have been cool to have them all in one place, and at least for the Masters games that we covered, having the intimacy of people being that close, cheering on the athletes was just such a cool experience that now to have both the teens and the masters athletes under one facility, I think just has a lot of great opportunity. And even with like sponsors, now they don't need to pick and
Mhm.
choose which event can you financially afford to go to. You're going to have everybody at the same place and it's just like one
Yeah.
big games for these deserving divisions.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I did not also mention the adaptive games, September 9th through the 13th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Top 10 from each
Mhm.
division, 16 divisions for men and women. So
nice.
that'll do.
Sweet. I've never been to that convention center, so
In Columbus,
yeah.
it's phenomenal. It's a
It is
great
great.
facility. It's newer. It's really gonna it you know th- they set up on one end of the. So I'm trying to think how this is, because when I walk in there, I lose all sense of direction. But in one sort of corner of the area is where they set up the giant Arnold stage with the huge backdrop. So there's plenty of room to have multiple competition floors, a huge area for vendor village, like gigantic.
Oh, yeah.
They will have more space than they need there, and I'm sure they'll have a first class warm up area. They'll have you know uh, plenty of space for spectators. I love it. I think Columbus is a great choice, and yeah, big win for the divisional athletes here. Okay, speaking of competitions, we also found out this week that the NorCal Classic is now going to be an in-person qualifying event for the CrossFit Games. And congratulations to Blair Morrison and his crew because they run a first-class event.
Yeah, him and Alderman are great people.
Yep, absolutely. It'll be June 6th through the 8th in the great city of Sacramento, California, where I grew up.
Home of the Oakland.
Home of the Oakland A's of Sacramento is what I guess.
Yeah, exactly. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
What the hell was that? Just you're the Anaheim Angels, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. That's dumb. Just come on, be proud. So yeah, but the A's are calling that place a temporary home. That River Cats Park is nice. It's going to be a good facility to go see a Major League Baseball game. But anyway, this is now an in-person qualifying event. The qualifier is going on right now, right?
Yeah. They had to extend. I think they had to extend their qualifier submission windows because the timing of this and the announcement of this, it is a little bit of a head scratcher. Obviously, you're stoked for Blair and Ben and the work that they've done in building this event, but also the communication around this and the timing of this just kind of feels like 2019 again, where CrossFit's like laying the track down as it goes. Because there's like a ton of stuff around this, right? Like how are people qualifying? What were the standards before? I'm pretty sure that their event was originally going to, and it was even in the comment section, they're like, wait, wasn't the event either in like August or September? I think it was September. So people are like, they're like, so it's not in September anymore? And they're like, yeah, it's in June now. So it's like, yeah, it's a great development for them. And I'm stoked for them. But also it's just like the way, it's just like the timing of all of it is just, I don't know.
June in Sacramento, it's hot. At least it's a dry heat though. Like you're going to be pushing you're in the 90s.
I'd rather be hot than cold.
It's
Roseville's hotter than Sac, right?
A
little
depends. Yeah, I mean it's all the same, really.
Yeah, I've been there where it's been in like above 100, and it's
my memories of that heat are 2-a-days in high school football in the 105-degree weather when it was,
back in my day.
With the leather helmets.
I was thinking.
At least we had something that was that breathed a little bit, But that's a great segue into what we want to get into here, because now you've added this event. Tommy, you mentioned there's some serious 2019 vibes here going on. As we feel like if you've been around that long, and 2019 was the year where they went to the sanctional system and they started the season before they even had a rule book, and that was in Dubai, and we had no idea how the qualification process was going to work. I want to send out some thanks to Joe, Jen, and Palawa from the Morning Chalk Up. They have an article coming out that I know Mike Halpin has worked on that really lays this out nicely. Joe gave us an early peek at it to kind of help with the show. It should be out if you're listening to this or watching this on Thursday, because we're recording this on Wednesday night. I think it's coming out today. If it's not already out, go check it out. But it will do a good job of explaining everything. But where the majority of the confusion lies right now is with the live in-person events. Okay, the online stuff, it's pretty simple to understand. So, and we'll just lay it out for you right here. You do the open. If you are in the top 1% after the open, you get to advance to the in-affiliate semifinals. All right, pretty simple. 1% in-affiliate semifinals. You do the in-affiliate semifinals. It's that online competition. And I believe as it stands right now, the top 12 men and women out of the online semifinals will make it to the CrossFit Games, because you're going to qualify the rest out of the in-person events. So relatively speaking, that's fairly easy to understand. Right? I gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
Sorry. Okay. But then you get into the in-person stuff. And this is where you start to have flashbacks to 2019. And I know, Tommy, back in 2019, you had to pen this article of here's how you qualify, and here are all the different scenarios. And there's still a lot of questions, but I know I didn't want to bring that up because I know you start to.
It gives me anxiety for you, because those are the worst articles to write. So thank you, Mike Halpin, for
Yeah, you're a good man helping,
for
Bless you,
doing
sir.
it.
yeah,
Bless you.
doing the Lord's work. Um, okay, well, do you want to just get into it here because we'll use I don't want to steal their thunder and just like go verbatim through this article, but there's some good points. The first being that, and we're just going to focus on the individuals here to just try to keep this thing from totally going off the rails. So first of all, if you are going to advance to an in-person qualifying event, IPQE, you might see that abbreviation. That's what those are referring to. You need.
Oh, thank you.
Let me
I
let me
didn't
make,
know what you meant.
let me make this. Let me make this distinction. If you're going to qualify for the games out of an in-person event, okay, you have got to finish in the top 1% in the Worldwide Open. So already there's a little bit of a difference from the sanctional era where it was like, do the Open or don't. We don't care. You can go to an event and qualify there as well. Right?
Yeah, because they need your money.
That's right. Okay.
But don't forget, Sean, if you don't qualify at any of those options, you can always break into the Temple of Doom, steal the Sankara stones, pray to the Dial of Destiny, and Indiana Jones will magically give you an invite as well.
Okay.
That may or may not be in there, or maybe I just stayed up all night watching Indiana Jones with my newborn.
Nice. Wow. You let your newborn watch Indiana Jones. You didn't put him in front of the TV for Temple of Doom, did you?
No.
Okay.
He was staring at his inside of his eyelids.
I was like 10 years old when I saw that. That was intense. I was like, wow, I don't know if I should be in this theater right now. When he just, okay. So got to finish in the top 1%. Now, okay. 18 men and 18 women will qualify out of the in-person qualifying events because there are 9 total. And I'll just list them off right now. It's the Mayhem Classic, Wadland Fest, the French Throwdown, the Fittest Experience Invitational, Rebel Renegade Games, the Far East Throwdown, Syndicate Crown, Torium Pro, NorCal Classic, and Copa Sur. That's actually 10, but a different amount of athletes will qualify from those events. So one each will qualify from the Rebel Renegade Games. That's in South Africa. And the Far East Throwdown, that's in the Republic of South Korea. Okay. So we have 10 events. All the other events, top 2 men, top 2 women qualify. Now, here's where it gets confusing because some of those events have regional restrictions. So, for example, I believe one of those would be, let's see, the Fittest Experience Invitational. Let's take that one. That's the one that's going on in May in Oklahoma City. Okay. You have got to have finished in the top 1% in the North America West leaderboard. So top individuals. So that would be, I guess, like 1 to 33 after the 2025 Open. Declined invitations will be backfilled to the next athletes on the North American West leaderboard. So that one, the Fittest Experience Invitational in Oklahoma City, regional restrictions. Now, there are others that don't have those restrictions. Free for all. Anybody can go. Okay. Any questions?
Who's keeping track of all of this? Like, because, sorry,
I
just
would
pause back. Well, for the sanctional season, no, like it was kind of the responsibility of, example, Morning Chalk Up or any other publication to try to follow along and put these pieces together. But it was almost an impossible task because like not all leaderboards were available and there was just a lot of confusion. So I hope that CrossFit is taking the onus and having some kind of system that's updated. I'm putting it out into the universe. If anybody's listening right now,
Well,
please.
question.
Look, when you go back to 2019, there was not nearly the robust media landscape that we have now of people who are capable of tracking this, right? It was
For sure.
so.
I will say this though, I don't even know if CrossFit knows how all of this is
I
working
don't
right
even
now.
care. I think they
For
just
sure,
know, who do we send the invite to? You guys handle the rest.
for
Because
sure. But if you walked in, say Sean, you're over on this side of the hill. We decide to have a tri-tip sandwich at our local barbecue establishment,
mm,
and we look down to the right, and who's sitting there but Dave Castro himself. Do you think if you go, "Hey, Dave, can you explain to me how all the qualification works for your season?" Do you think he could?
I mean, he'd probably
And
give me a
ex
vague general idea.
and extrapolate that out to anyone in the games team right now.
Yeah. No, I see. I get your point.
So, and this is not like an indictment on them, but more so the system. Like, if the people who are inputting the system can't explain it to you, this is tough.
Yeah.
Like, I really want CrossFit to come out and be really forward facing and like with this. They've like released some articles, which is great, and they're going to update stuff as they get to like get more into it. But
Mhm.
like, yeah, I don't know. It just feels like we're just kind of waiting for all of the internet sleuths to update us on where all these details are, and
Well,
that makes it really difficult for athletes.
agreed. And this is why I don't like piecemeal announcements, because the stuff we live in an age now where a lack of information, like there is none of that. Anything you leave out, well, that gets filled by something. Like you leave any
True,
sort of
very true.
information vacuum, it's going to get filled with something. Speculation, whether it's right or wrong, people are going to start talking about it. So there's like the question I have is, okay, let's say someone qualifies out of the open, but they're like, hey, I want to go compete at the Torian Pro. You and has a chance to win the thing because they want to win some money. Well, they already have a qualifying spot out of the open. Does that mean that and what I would assume is that they can't take a qualifying, they're eligible to win, but now you bump it down to 2 and 3 in person? Or does that person forfeit his or her like qualify through the in person, and then it bumps down to the next person in the open? Like that's the kind of stuff that got
Important to know ahead of
screwed
time.
in 2019, because it would be like, well, right now that person qualifies out of this event. Remember, you'd go down like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all these people qualified through the open, so right now it's this person, but if this person qualifies someplace else, then it's going to bump down to this person, and it got kind of convoluted. I think this
Especially
is a
for
little bit,
storytellers, whatever live stream and or media presence are gonna be at these events, if they don't know who they're announcing as somebody qualifying for a game spot.
well, I'm sure that maybe that's good someplace that's going to come out soon, but that's a question I have. There's also, as you, and again, I'd encourage people to go and read this article from the Morning Chalk Up, because Mike lays it out nicely. But as you skim through this and you look at some of the qualifying uh, restrictions. So let's just I'm just going to pick this one out. Wadland Fest, April 25th to the 27th in Spain. So regional restrictions, none. All athletes worldwide can register for the qualifier for a chance to compete at the in-person qualifying event or be invited by the competition organizers. All right. So now you go down to, let's just go down to the Fittest Experience Invitational in Oklahoma City. Regional restrictions, yes. Invitations to the in-person qualifying event are limited to top individuals on the North America West leaderboard. So mention that. Declined invitations will be backfilled to the next athletes on the North America West leaderboard. Qualifier, yeah, you go to the CrossFit Open. Requirement, you got to be on the North America West leaderboard. And then they also have an invitational. Top 3 men and women who podium in the pro division at the Fittest Experience Championship on January 31st through February 2nd, 2025 at Williamson County Expo Center in Taylor, Texas, will earn their invitation to the invitational as long as they also finish the top 1% in the CrossFit Open. So there's all these like little caveats and things that start to make it difficult. And look, CrossFit is not telling people what they have to program. Like it is just tell us who we send the invite to. You guys handle the rest. Now the advantage of that is that there's no, I think these events need to pay a small fee to CrossFit, but other than that, they get to keep everything that they make. So that's a plus for the event organizer.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. Like
Are
let
all
me
the
find,
prize purses different then?
No idea. I'm guessing so. I mean,
Right, that it's set by the event.
it'd have to be.
Hmm.
And I don't think these are going to be, I can't imagine that these events are going to have, I mean, I'm sure they'll have some sort of stream, but what that looks like, I'm not sure. So following this whole thing, to your point, Lauren, especially when you have multiple events on the same weekend, can get, I don't know. It's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out and how they deal with the sort of the backfill thing and all of that. But right now, one of the biggest questions that you both have as we get closer to the start of this thing.
Uh,
I
I mean,
need
I
a
think
diagram for this.
I kind of laid out my at least with my issues in the communication side of things. But I mean, it's just interesting. It seems like, well, at one, it just seems like the feedback that has been provided time and time again from athletes and people involved with the sport seems like, yeah, again, it just seems like CrossFit's very hands off. Just like, we don't care. We're gonna do this. However you get there, you get there. Because one of the consistent criticisms from the athlete side is that like they want a relative, like an even process across the board for people to get to the games, right?
Yeah.
They want to make sure that they can stand shoulder to shoulder with people that they consider peers and know that everyone went through the same things to get to the CrossFit Games. That was part of the what does Chase call it? The purity of it, right? Like that, and athletes reiterate that too. You know, going through a 3 or 4 day comp to get there versus like a 2 day comp or a 3 day comp where there's 2 workouts a day is very different. And that's what we had at the sanctionals. And that was one of the major drawbacks for a lot of the athletes. It's like the I don't know, there was a lack of fairness in that regard.
Sure.
I also think it's like, yeah, you're essentially creating loopholes or ways that people can game the system, right? Like if I'm an athlete that I'm like, I'm maybe outside of the top 15, but I know I'm good. And on any other year, I might have a shot at going to the games. Why wouldn't you book the first ticket to South Korea?
Yeah. Do they
You know,
have
Is
regional?
there
no, right now, no regional restrictions.
is there a rule where you can only compete in so many, or is this like sanctionals where truly, if you wanted to do all of them, you could? I know some of them are on the
No,
same
yeah. So
weekends,
you
but
have
you know what I mean?
the one weekend that is really busy is May 29th, the weekend of May 29th. You've got 4 competitions going on. Rebel Renegade Games, that's in South Africa. Far East Throwdown in South Korea. So that sort of buffers what you're talking about, Tommy. Like you can't, you know,
But
you can get one.
Rebel has regional restrictions. Far
Okay.
East doesn't. So that's the thing. Like
Does Torian? Torian doesn't, right? Syndicate Crown and Torian Pro are the other 2 on that weekend.
so Syndicate takes a big. I think I want to say they're a U.S. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Let me look. Efforting.
But it also depends, right? Like Northern California Classic and Torian Pro on either side of it too. So some people are just going to be. It's going to be improbable that they stack a couple of these competitions being back to back, and with the travel that has to happen and trying to navigate the regional restrictions. I don't know. Like if Far East doesn't have one right now, and I can sign up for the qualifier and go do that, I would.
Yeah.
Why
Why
not?
not? The Syndicate Crown does have regional restrictions. You've got to be in the I just lost it. Where is it? Yes, North America East region to qualify for the Syndicate Crown. But then just listen to this. Okay, this is where you start to your head spin starts to spin a little bit. The 2025 CrossFit Open will be used for the top 20 athletes in the North America East region who will qualify for this one. Okay, for the Syndicate Crown. Syndicate Crown reserves the right to invite athletes from backfills. So there's invitational details here as well. The next 10 men and women from North America East below the cut line from the in-affiliate semifinal will be invited to compete here. Syndicate Crown reserves the right to invite athletes from backfill. So basically what they're saying is that if you do the online semifinal and you're in North America East, the next 10 below that cut line, then you get to go to this one. So now the in-person the in-affiliate semifinal is now being used as a qualifier too. So that's where some of these get confusing in fact in the fact that they have different ways in which they're determining the field. So, but we do know that the vast majority of these in-person qualifying events, are qualifying 2 men and 2 women, with the exception being South Korea and
Africa Rebel Renegade Games.
1 each.
Mm-hmm.
which also takes away from a little bit of the drama too that we used to get in semifinals, where you would have more people qualifying and later,
Yeah.
earlier heats actually mattered.
Yep.
And now it's just a battle for the top 2, maybe top 3 spots if someone has already qualified and that backfill's available. I don't know, but that's what we're looking at. And I don't know if they're going to add any more events either. I mean, I thought we were done, and then NorCal Classics slipped right in there. Not that they're not deserved, because again, they have those.
No, they do a great job.
Yeah, but do they let anybody else in now, or are we done?
Yeah. They also confirmed either Blair or Ben hopped in the comments too and confirmed that they're not going to have a swim now, because they've always had a swim, and they were
Yes.
one of the few to actually do the swim because they felt confident in their ability to execute it, which they did,
Mhm.
and they were right about that.
Yeah.
But they confirmed that there wouldn't be a swim based on the current status with swim events for CrossFit associated events.
Mhm.
But yeah,
All right.
it's a very interesting at a time when people are clamoring for more just like consistency
Mhm.
and reliability. It's like the exact opposite.
Yes,
There's
but it's
no-
also, look, it's also by necessity, because if you don't have the money to pay for the stuff, this is you got to, you got to do what you can do. You can't.
Yeah, that's all. But that's a weird like victim blaming, right?
Well, I'm not. I
Like
mean, it's the
like
truth. If we
we
don't have the money,
like we didn't manage this well, so we don't have the money. So now we have to make you suffer.
yeah, I mean, but then that takes us back to the World Fitness Project, and there's still going to be some opportunities here. But
Let's hope so.
here's the like, if you want to qualify, do the open, finish in the top 1%, and then read the requirements after that. I guess make sure you read your owner's manual. Um,
Open up the glove compartment, pull out the owner's manual.
and then one thing, and this was strange that I thought, is that there was some debate about, and we've talked about it here too, when the initial qualifying spots were announced, like the number, there was some wording that said at least
Yeah.
30 men and women, which made it seem like, okay, we might be able to, maybe it's 40. But in the comments of the announcement of the NorCal Classic, CrossFit jumped in and said, no, 30 men, 30 women. Like that's where they confirmed that, it seemed like. Unless there's been
Yeah.
another communication put out that I missed.
Yeah.
So 30 men, 30 women at the games, and I think that's the right amount. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. So they basically confirmed the they confirmed the number of athletes competing, to clarify, in the comment section of an Instagram post.
I mean, I think they did. It might not be there anymore.
I remember seeing that too, but has there been any other place where they've like officially
That's what I'm asking.
stated
I
it?
don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought I saw that in the comments, and maybe I was wrong, but it does now seem to be confirmed that 30 and 30 go, men and women.
Do we have a rule book yet?
Oh, good question. I haven't seen.
Not that I've
I
seen.
mean,
I think we would have heard
oh,
about
man.
that. Yeah, no.
Just because, like, obviously that would require amendments and stuff like that to add these events. So
Yeah. Well, okay.
I'm going to the
let's hope
season
this is just
update. No.
let's hope it's
Let's hope
just a
it's just a
transitionary
phase.
year.
It's just a phase. Yeah, it's just a phase.
It's just like, that time you started listening to My Chemical Romance.
Never did that. So
It's not a
I was gonna
phase,
say the
Mom.
phase is like
Seen
my
it
dating
live.
life.
Saw
I
him
think it's
live.
gonna get better and it never does.
Yeah. Well, you said it. You saw him live.
I did see
No, I said this phase feels like my dating life. I
Oh,
think that it's gonna get better, but then I
um,
keep dating and it never gets better.
yeah. Well, listen, you know what? We got Wadapalooza next week. That's always enjoyable.
Well, in 2 weeks, technically 2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's right. So weekend, we got
A
NFL
week
wildcard weekend, which is one of the
a week from the weekend.
best weekend in sports this week, and I actually get to be home for it, so I'm happy. All right. Anything else we want to add to that? But more to come. But listen, the season is starting to take shape. It might be sort of a brown splotchy area, but it's like you can make out some stuff here, and there's some things that are definite, and there's some things that are relatively easy to follow, and there's some things that are just going to be a little confusing. But at the end of the day, 30 men, 30 women going to the CrossFit Games to compete for the title of Fittest on Earth. That's all. That's what matters. Okay. You know, Don't worry about the horse being blind. Just load the wagon.
I love it.
Yeah.
I've never heard that
I think
one, but I like that.
John Madden, I think, used to say that, or one of his
Yeah,
characters said, yeah.
it's oh, rest in
Oh.
peace,
Rest
John
in peace,
Madden.
Madden. Okay. Any PRs and no reps or community support we want to get to? I mean, I'll say it again. Just if there's any way anybody can help with what's going on in Los Angeles and Southern California with the fires right now, American Red Cross, I think, has some stuff going. Our good friend Joshy G, who's down there, he's been posting a lot of stuff on his social media.
Yeah,
There's celebrities that are doing the same. So if you have a chance to help, please do reach out to your people, make sure they're okay. So that's my community support.
100%. Yeah, I mean, we're on this half of the country, right? And so we have ties down there. You see
Yeah.
it all the time, and the nature of it is spreading rapidly, especially with these Santa Ana winds that come in.
Mhm.
And
And it happened fast. Like it was, uh, yeah, ablaze.
not yeah, and there are
Do
always
you know
people.
what started it?
I
Like a
don't
down
know.
power line or something? I'm not sure
I
what
don't.
started.
But I do know every time there's evacuation orders, there's always people that are on the fence.
Yeah,
Don't
just
Mhm.
don't be on the fence. Just go.
There was a video circulating of people that were in the house as the fire was around
Yeah, I
them.
saw
Did you see
that.
that? They
No.
made it out.
Yeah, that
Luckily,
was terrifying.
Oh, man.
they
Can't
they
imagine.
were very fortunate. So I believe they had a special like fire retention or what's the word? But basically a special system that helped like soak their roof and protect their house
Yeah.
from the fire. But
Oh, wow.
don't rely on that, man.
No,
Protect
just
yourself and your loved ones.
you can replace that stuff.
Oof.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. PRs, no reps. Anybody got any no reps?
I'm gonna no rep Lauren as a liar about weather.
Oh,
What
shots
do you
fired.
mean?
The
Shots
low the low of Syracuse today was 17, and by the end of the week, it's gonna be a low of 27. It's practically vacation weather for you.
fired.
That is
Uh,
freezing,
I'm kidding.
Tommy.
I'm kidding.
Technically, it is below freezing.
I'm
Freezing.
kidding. It was I walked into the nursery yesterday and it was like 65 degrees. It was cool.
Yep.
Heater.
Yep. I took a. I got outside. It was sunny. Took a nice little walk. It was great.
Huh. Great. I'm so happy for you.
Oh, I will no rep the Oakland A's as I need to keep
You
my
always
quota
know
up.
repping the Oakland
Yeah,
A's.
just because they won't if they make the playoffs, they won't be playing at the Rivercat Stadium.
Where are they gonna play?
I don't know. They're going to need an empty ballpark that's not being used for the playoffs. So I guess Oracle's available. Didn't.
Oh,
Ooh, take
dang.
that, SF Giants.
There you go.
Um,
All right.
but yeah, so heard
I
that
don't
today.
know if I have any no reps. I don't think I do. You know who you know who I'm gonna do you have a no rep, Lauren?
No, I don't have a no rep today.
You know who I'm gonna PR? I'm gonna PR the WWE, man. That organization, they're on Netflix now. Did you I tuned in
Wow.
just to check it out. Like I don't care if you like wrestling or you don't. They deliver every single time. Their production value is unbelievable. Their storytelling is great. They're just like if you had told me this is where that would be 30, 40 years ago when got into it, I like there's just no way. It's unbelievable what a juggernaut they are and how they have gotten into the mainstream. They're part of like the zeitgeist. It's just ridiculous what they're able to accomplish and how they keep pushing the envelope forward. I was just amazed. I'm like, God, man, you guys are just a powerhouse right now. So good on them.
Hmm. Yeah, I got a similar one. I'm going to PR the Bay Golf Club for winning the inaugural TGL golf match that was live on ESPN yesterday.
Okay.
So did you guys see this?
I didn't.
The
No.
golf league, the TGL, the golf league is the new. It's like a virtual a golf simulator golf league put on that's owned by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, and there are regional golf clubs filled up with some of the best golfers in the world. Like there's an LA team, the Bay Area Golf Club is the Bay team. There's a New York team. There's a Florida team that Tiger Woods is on. The Boston team that Rory McIlroy is on, and basically they built this state of the art facility that has like a big screen, like or an IMAX screen for a golf sim screen, and they actually hit off real grass for their mats. and
Mhm.
then it has a state-of-the-art putting green and chipping sand green that
Oh,
rotates and shifts and has all this stuff to undulate. So at every hole, the
Damn,
putting surface changes and is different.
that's really cool.
that's
So
crazy.
it's an indoor golf league, and they had the first, match like yesterday. I was skeptical at first. I'm a diehard the Bay Golf Club,
Mhm.
uh, fan now, and it was honestly pretty cool. It's a 2-hour show for a match.
They
There's
put it on
15
ESPN?
put it on ESPN.
Was it shot
Scott
on iPhones?
No, it was not.
Go
It
figure.
was in 4K. They had Scott Van Pelt at SportsCenter
Wow.
as the intermission like desk show. So they
Mhm.
basically had a segment of SportsCenter that fit in the middle. Um, all of the golfers are mic'd up with earpieces, so you can hear trash talking and they're
That's
chirping each
awesome. Oh, you
other.
gotta check this out.
Dude,
Wow.
it's super, super cool. It's way cooler than I thought it would be, and if they really lean into it and trim it up a little bit, obviously they have to make some adjustments. It was
Yeah.
their first broadcast, but I think, like, if you're any sports league looking at ways to innovate, this is it. Like, take
Alright.
notes, CrossFit, because this was super cool. And they did it, and it was all contained in one arena. Um, and they had people like there's like a bar and restaurant around it. So people are like drinking, hanging,
Oh.
watching. People are like booing and cheering.
Dang,
And like
I'm talking
there
about
there's
fights.
the yeah, there's
Get
some
some
like fun
fights.
there's some fun rules where like you can basically what's called drop the hammer. You can drop the hammer and make that hole worth double the points.
That's
So like
cool.
if you hit a good drive, you can drop
Oh,
the hammer and be like, this is worth, and there's like penalties for not accepting it. And it's super cool. So like people were chirping like Xander Schauffele, who's like a two-time major winner last year. Like he chipped and like laid up short.
mhm.
Or one time the Bay Club, I think Shane Lowry laid up instead of going for it in two on the par five. Everyone booed him, and he's like, bring it on, bring it on.
That's
They,
great. That's what
yeah,
golf
it was,
needs.
dude. It was super cool, and
Alright.
props to our crew at the Bay, Shane Lowry, Wyndham Clark, Min Woo Lee, and Ludwig Aberg, taking the initial victory.
There you go. Lauren, PR.
I am gonna PR a documentary on Netflix. I don't know that either of you will watch it, but maybe there's some people out there that are the same
I'm afraid
wavelength
to
and
ask.
vibe as me. It's called Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult. Do you guys know about the TikTok cult?
I don't even know about TikTok.
Okay, so during the a little before the pandemic, there's these group
Isn't
of
that just
dancers that
TikTok?
were on, like, yeah, but, like, these are professional dancers. They were on, like, So You Think You Can Dance, World of Dance, like, all of those dance shows that were from, 2010 through I think maybe some of them still go on, but around, like, 2019, right before the pandemic, and really great dancers that got picked up by this guy who ran a church that ends up being a cult, and he creates this management company where he basically is like controlling all of their finances and like donating their income to like the church and like 10% to God and 10% to me. Yeah. There's only like 4 episodes and it is so interesting and
Okay.
so good. So the 7M TikTok cults worth the watch on Netflix.
Could
Alright.
you imagine like that conversation? So, yeah. So apparently you've been pop locking and dropping it and not donating 10% to God. Yeah, he's gonna need to cut a dead ass.
That's that's just this just reminds me of that what was it the South Park episode where they made fun of Netflix where they people at Netflix was answering the phone. Netflix, you're greenlit. It's like whatever
Yep.
they just put it on. But all I know is we got 9 days until the new. Actually, by the time you listen to this, 8 days until season 2 starts.
Oh yeah,
So I've
dude.
met
Of what?
I've had severance. I've had a couple people reach out
Ah,
to me. Leah Miller's one of them. She's a big fan, so we're gonna have a
we
discussion
love
group.
her.
We've got Josh Pirtle as well, Fluffy Duck. So we're all set to go for season 2. All right, that's gonna do it for today's episode. One more thing from Tommy.
I'll say it's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes so far.
Oh, fucking God. What
You've
wait,
convinced
the documentary or the Severance? You need to
Severance
watch.
season 2. So
Please watch it. One of
I'm,
those
I'm,
one of the nights you're up late, just Apple Plus, just watch the first episode, and you'll be like, I gotta watch another one.
yep.
So good. All right, that's it. Thanks to our sponsor, Vuori, vuori.com/TEF. Also, I was throwing up the First Form thing on the screen throughout the show. If you go to firstform.com/TEF, shop their whole line of supplements, you get a little kickback, help support the show as
Beef
well.
sticks.
And they make fantastic products. Next week, we'll be talking about Wadapalooza. Lauren's going to be in Miami a week from Thursday.
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
weeks.
You're going to be in South Beach.
2 weeks
feeling
from
the heat.
Thursday.
Ha, 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 ha. That'll be fun. And then we are like mere weeks away from the Open and the start of the adventure that is going to be the 2025 CrossFit Games season. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Thanks for watching. And again, to all our friends down in Los Angeles, please take care of each other. If you need help, reach out. If there's any members of the CrossFit community who know of efforts that are going on that we can help get the word out on, please let us know. We're happy to do that. And stay safe, everybody, please. For Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. Take care of each other. Be better. And we will talk to you guys next time.